Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys the first perspective on things and how we see them. And boy, oh boy, we're going to be talking about straight up basketball right now. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and do so. Make sure you like the video. Anyway, let's get into this here. Now, as y'all know, the NBA preseason is finally underway, and we have been having some games. On a personal level, there have been a few teams and players that I've been really eager to see in the preseason. Number one on that list is Kawhi Leonard. I've been very, very eager to see Kawhi Leonard finally return to the NBA court. So you have Kawhi Leonard. I've also been very eager to see how this Clippers unit will look together when, with the new additions that they've made. Well, John Wall, Norman Powell was added last season, but obviously he's coming back from an injury. And some of the new pieces like Robert Covington and these guys that they added. So I've been very interested about that. I've also been interested to see what the Nets look like. The Brooklyn Nets with Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and to see what type of job that Steve Nash and these guys are going to be doing in their second year together. And I've also been very, 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 very interested in seeing what this Lakers team, like everybody else, I believe, is going to look like this season, given the total disaster of a season that they had last year. But for this particular show here, we're going to focus exclusively on Kawhi and the Clippers, and we're also going to focus on the Lakers. But before we get into that part here, this video is brought to you by our sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolf. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let's start off here with the Clippers. Let's start with the Clippers. Last night, obviously, as I said, we were all quite eager to see what Kawhi Leonard was going to look like coming back. And in the game, he only played 16 minutes, but in the 16 minutes that he played, he scored 11 points. But to be quite honest with you, he looked very rusty. And that's obviously normal for a guy that hasn't played basketball in over a year. So there was that aspect of the game. I could also see that John Wall was really, really present, and you could see that he was very, very rusty. He was missing a lot of bunnies, chippies at the basket, and you could see that he was trying to find his way in the offense, right? So John Wall was also trying to work his way through the new system he's going to be playing in. Now, Paul George, on the other hand, he looked very good to me. Paul George looked smooth. He seemed to be in a rhythm all game, and he seemed to understand where he was getting his shots in the offense, and he seemed to be in a flow, and he looked really, really good. Ty Lue, head coach Ty Lue, actually found a way somehow to play 15 players on that roster. 15 players. The only notable players that did not play were Marcus Morris Sr. and Terrence Mann. I think there were other few players that didn't play. But overall, I think that the Clippers were trying to see what different lineups and units, different lineups they can throw out there and experiment to see which one will work best for them. So that was one aspect. But overall, what I really, really liked, to be quite honest with you, apart from Kawhi and all of those different things, was the defense that they played. That was it. I mean, they were able to hold the Blazers, to under 100 points on 38% shooting from the field. For an NBA team to hold another NBA team to under 100 points, that is pretty remarkable. So that's very hard to do in this particular NBA. So I want, going into this season, obviously I want Kawhi Leonard and these guys to be healthy, but I want them to continue, right, playing the same level of defense that they played last year that kept them in contention to make it into the playoffs all season long. I think they can ill afford to have a drop off from the defensive side of the floor this year, because they have to play great defense, because they certainly have all of the personnel. If the Boston Celtics were able to play that type of defense, the Clippers have better individual defenders. They have multiple Defensive Player of the Year players. They have players that have been voted for Defensive Player of the Year and Paul George. So they have the pieces to play great defense. So I hope that this season they pay close attention to the defensive side of the floor and they don't have defensive lapses, right? The offense will come and go, but the Clippers really need to focus on their defense. Now, this brings me to the Lakers. Speaking of defense, the Lakers was a totally different story yesterday, man. It was a totally different story. The Lakers have been mired in nothing but drama since pretty much last September. It seems like they dropped all of their preseason games last year. But I'm not one of these people that likes to make a big deal out of preseason games. I'm like, come on, we're going to judge a team on the preseason. Are you freaking kidding me? But when they dropped all of the games, I was a little bit worried. And the last time I saw a team drop 6 games in a row in the preseason was Kobe's Lakers with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard and those guys. And they struggled mightily all throughout the season. So yesterday, they dropped another game. And as y'all know, they dropped their first preseason game. And as you know, going into this season, the Lakers have a lot of pressure on them to figure it out, right? They have a lot of pressure on them. And they looked really terrible last night. LeBron James, I think LeBron played, if I'm not mistaken, LeBron played 15 minutes. He was 0 of 7 from the floor, but that's fine, right? It's 0 of 7 from the floor. He finished the game, I believe it was with 4 points. Anthony Davis was all right. He was in double digits as well. Russell Westbrook, he didn't really shoot a lot. He only attempted 3 shots from the floor. But the problem was the defense. Right now, obviously, it's a preseason game. They're tweaking different things. But, I just don't have a good feeling about it. Now, to be fair, the Sacramento Kings shot 40% from the field, which really isn't good. But the Lakers shot 31% from the field. Now, obviously, is that going to continue? Obviously not. That is not going to continue. But here's why I tell you that was concerning. Because if you watch the Nets game yesterday, at one point, I think the Brooklyn Nets were trailing, I want to say by 20 points. And they inserted their key players, Kyrie Irving, they had Ben Simmons, they inserted Kevin Durant, and they were able to make a run and really get back into the game, right? So they kept it competitive. The Clippers, everybody played around 15 minutes last night. They were able to win. But in the case of the Lakers, they just really struggled, right? So I think they're going to have a lot of issues to iron out this season. And obviously, you heard some reports that the Lakers came very, very close to dealing, I believe it was Russell Westbrook to the Indiana Pacers. But they got to figure it out. Obviously, the offense is not going to struggle like that, but they got to figure it out. They didn't look very good yesterday. And of course, when you have them losing a game by 25 points, and then you have like Russell Westbrook doing the cradle rock him to sleep thing, obviously people are going to be roasting him for that, right, in a loss. So these are my thoughts about those teams. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about everything that I said? What do you think about these teams? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.